Tacoma's changed a lot over the past decade, and especially in the last few years. Some people still think of it as Seattle's grittier cousin. That's kind of where Grit City comes from. Others think of it as one of the last real cities in the Pacific Northwest. The truth is somewhere in between, and that's exactly what makes Tacoma so interesting. So today I want to walk you through the different parts of Tacoma, what daily life actually feels like here in 2026, how work and play compare to other cities, and how Tacoma today is different from Tacoma even 5 or 10 years ago. Let's start with the different neighborhoods or districts, because Tacoma is very much a district city. So let's talk about downtown Tacoma. Downtown has gone through a slow but steady evolution, and in 2026 it's more livable than flashy. You've got condos, apartments, office buildings, museums, and a growing food and bar scene. It's not Seattle level density, but that's kind of the point of downtown Tacoma. You can actually find parking, you can actually recognize people when you're walking down the street, and you're still close to the water, you're still close to transit, and you have all of the big city amenities in a smaller space. Talking about Stadium District. Stadium feels polished without feeling pretentious, and there's historic homes, there's walkable streets, there's really good restaurants, some of those hole-in-the-wall restaurants you're going to find in the Stadium District, and the Stadium District has some of the best views in the city. I would say that this is one of the most consistently desirable areas, especially for professionals who want charm without being too far from downtown. Old Town is quieter, it's coastal, it's a little bit underrated in my opinion. It's close to downtown, but it feels more tucked away. So if you like walking along the water or slower mornings, less traffic, this area really shines. Plus, you're just gonna get a lot of that Old Town history in Old Town Tacoma. Ruston has become one of the most visually impressive parts of the Tacoma area. You have the waterfront, you have the Point Ruston development, you have restaurants and trails, and all of that added together kind of make Ruston feel almost resort-like. It's more expensive, it's more curated, it's very popular with people who want views and walkability without the grit of Grit City. Proctor is community-driven Tacoma at its best. You have farmers markets, you have small local shops, you have coffee places, you have a really strong neighborhood feel in Proctor. And this is where Tacoma really separates itself from bigger cities. People talk to each other here. Proctor is also kind of more of a higher end area. You have a lot of nicer like wine bars and restaurants, and you can also find some of those more luxury residential areas in Proctor. South Tacoma is diverse, it's evolving, it's still a lot more affordable than many other parts of the city. It's not as polished, but there is a lot of growth happening in that area. You're seeing a lot of new businesses, new restaurants, and quite a bit of long-term upside. There's a lot of developers and investors going into South Tacoma right now and really kind of turning that place around. It's had its fair share of negative comments over the years, but I am seeing quite a change happening in South Tacoma right now. Going over to Browns Point. Browns Point is quiet, residential, and it's very scenic. It feels more suburban and removed, but if you want space and you want really great views of Commencement Bay, it's a really strong option. You can also find a lot of Tacoma city skyline views from Browns Point. Point Defiance is one of Tacoma's biggest flexes in my opinion. There's a massive park there, there's trails, zoo, waterfront. It's pretty rare to have something like Point Defiance that's so integrated into a city. For outdoor-oriented people, this is a huge quality of life factor. So living in Tacoma in 2026 If I had to give it a word, it would be balanced. Work-wise, a lot of people are hybrid or remote, so Tacoma massively benefits from this, and you can work for a Seattle company or even a company based out of state while actually enjoying where you live. Healthcare, education, the port, military, construction, small businesses are all major economic drivers in this area. Play-wise, Tacoma punches quite a bit above its weight. You have a good food scene, you have a pretty strong local music and art scene, there's plenty of coffee shops, there's breweries, in fact we even have an entire brewery district, there's waterfront access, there's quick escapes to nature, there's lots of trails, you're an hour from the mountains, you're close to the water, and still connected to a major metro area. The pace is slower than Seattle, but it's not sleepy, and it feels more human. When people ask how Tacoma compares to other cities, the easiest comparison is Seattle, but that's really only part of the picture. Compared to Seattle, Tacoma is more affordable and it's less congested and it's more forgiving if you're trying to build something, whether that's a career or a business or even a family. But Seattle feels optimized for large corporations and maybe really high income earners, whereas Tacoma leaves a lot of room for scrappy entrepreneurs and creatives and small businesses to actually survive and grow. When we compare Tacoma to Portland, I would say that Tacoma feels more stable in 2026. I think Portland has culture and creativity, but it's also gone through significant volatility, and Tacoma feels like it's quietly building instead of constantly reinventing itself. Compared to some smaller cities like Olympia or Centralia, Tacoma offers more opportunity and diversity. You really get real deep neighborhoods, you have a real arts and food scene and real economic activity without the isolation that can come from smaller markets. I think that Tacoma isn't trying to be a hot city. It's not really chasing any trends. It's more a place where people live full lives, they work hard, they stay grounded, they play hard, and that's why a lot of people who move here stay. Now, I want to give you my personal perspective because I don't just talk about Tacoma, I live it every day. I own multiple businesses here, I sell real estate here, and I'm actively involved in the city through economic development and community leadership. And that means I see Tacoma from angles that most people don't. I see how the neighborhoods change before they actually feel different, and I see which areas are actually growing versus which ones are just getting attention online, and I see how policy and development and local leadership decisions affect real people and real businesses. Tacoma rewards people who commit, so if you're halfway in it, it can kind of feel a little bit frustrating, but if you invest your time, energy, and relationships here, this city gives back. And it's a place where you can still know the people who run things. And it's a place where your reputation matters and where showing up consistently actually moves the needle. So Tacoma in 2026, it's not perfect, but it's honest. And for me, that's why I've chosen to build so much of my life and my businesses here. Tacoma in 2026 is more confident than it used to be. It's no longer apologizing for what it isn't, and it's leaning into what is. It's blue collar, it's creative, it's diverse, it has character. It's not perfect, but it's real. And for a lot of people, that's exactly the point. So if you're considering living here, or maybe you already live here, in 2026, Tacoma is a place where you can still build a life, not just chase one.